Hey guys, and welcome back to Omnifactory. On to episode number 22 now. Done a little bit of work off camera. The first thing that I kind of did was I made some emerald setup, mainly for the speed 2 passive. Yeah, basically I figured it would have a good idea to just have a little bit of a speed boost while moving around the base. Really not hard. Literally emerald and emerald plates in the extended crafting. So we still got our other armor, so we'll use that as and when, but yeah, figured a nice little bit of a speed boost was nice. Now over here we have all three of the microverse setups. We've got the small microverse projector, medium, and this is the I guess the setup for the large scale. But I've been having a look and I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do, because it doesn't look like this is actually implemented into the game yet, which is a little bit of a concern for me. This is the full setup, so this is it's sticking out of the ground, yeah I know, but we'll get to that, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just a case that we've got all of the quantum compressors in. It just I don't think it's implemented into the game yet, so I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do when it comes to kind of tier 7, tier 8 microverses. There's our extra armor as well. In terms of the chests, as you can see, we've done a fair bit of Nuclearcraft. So we come over here, it's got a few setups here as well. This is our fission reactor, and I've got this set up because there was a little bit of issues on this in terms of recipe, so I figured I'd use that to kind of get around part of the initial part. But yeah, if we just break in, you can use a 3x3, it doesn't make a difference. I'll quickly show the setup that we've got going. So we're using helium, tin, lapis, and if I change that back to single, cryothin coolers. Those were the ones that I went for. It's not one that I looked up online, but I'm guessing it's a fairly common setup. It's a 7x7. If we just put this back in to complete it, so 7x7 fission reactor, 48 cells with minus 35,600 heat units per tick. The reactor itself can handle all Nuclearcraft fuels barring 2. So if we have a quick look at Nuclearcraft, the kind of fuel is all here. The only ones that it can't handle is this one here. Normal. This one here. So Californium 251 oxide fuel. It doesn't have enough heat reduction to get rid of this one. It would just cause meltdown. And I believe it is this one as well. So HEF 249 oxide. It can handle all of the other ones other than those ones, even things like this. So HEBs, it's literally just those two fuels, but that's not a problem in this pack. As far as I can see, we're not going to be getting into those fuels anyway. For those kind of wondering, because Nuclearcraft itself is a fairly complex mod, and I really do like Nuclearcraft. The way the fission reactors work is it's all based on the internal size, so it's a class as a 7x7 structure, but it takes up a 9x9 space, if that makes sense. If we kind of just open the top up, we'll just kind of show you the pattern that I've used if anybody's wondering. So here we go, break this all down. So as you can see, the corners are empty. Really, I couldn't fit anything else into there. There's 8 blocks in terms of the design that I've got set up. There's 8 blocks missing from where I could use them. So these top corners here and the bottom corners could all have Enderium coolers in them. Nuclearcraft itself, as I say, it's a fairly complex mod in itself, as you'd probably expect. It's nuclear. It's nuclear fusion, fission, whatever you want to say, or whatever stage you're at. Sorry, not whatever you want to say. This is nuclear fission. We will sometimes get into the fusion side, but if we go back, just break through some of this. So, oh yeah, we've got redstone coolers as well. So it's fairly complex because each of the coolers has its own kind of properties. So if you have a look at one of these, so the cryothium cooler, for example, it's one of the best ones that you can get into your fission reactor because it does get rid of 160 heat units per tick. But as you can see, it says there it must be adjacent to 2 reactor cells. So these are the reactor cells. As you can see, each one of these cryothium coolers is next to 2. Have a look at the lapis cooler. That's saying it must be next to at least 1 reactor cell and 1 reactor casing. So each of the coolers has its own properties. So if you have a look, these are all of the coolers that you can have, and you can change them from being passive to active coolers as well. They all have their own different rates on that side. They're really not hard to make, if I'm honest. So the majority of the ones that we've made are cryothium. I think there's 96 cryothium coolers in total. It's just a empty cooler, jelly cryothium, which is just melted down. It takes a full bucket of jelly cryothium per cooler. The empty coolers, steel, tough alloy. Tough alloy is lithium with steel and boron. So yeah, not a problem on that side. And yeah, so we've used, if I remember right, there's 48 reactor cells. The more reactor cells that you have in your reactor, the quicker that you burn through your fuel, the more heat that you produce from burning fuel, and as well as that, the more power that you generate as well. There are no what are they called? What's graphite? I know that's one of them. There are no moderators in the actual fission reactor itself, mainly because I figured that I wouldn't really be using this as a long-term power generation. This was mainly about crafting requirements. So yeah, the actual moderators wasn't that important. It's just about how long it takes. I am tempted to make another one of these as well, just to kind of speed it up a bit. But yeah, that's that side. If we jump down here, so the way that I've got this set up is that we are fully auto-crafting all the way through Nuclearcraft. One thing that I do love with like applied energistics is that it makes Nuclearcraft fission reactors really easy to get into the late stage fuels. So if you have a look, this is all of our kind of Nuclearcraft stuff. I've taken the majority of it out. So this is all of the auto-crafting that I've got set up, and there's a couple of kind of key parts that I do want to kind of show. So this here, depleted LEB 248 fuel. It's berkelium. Now, berkelium, this fuel itself is probably going to be the last stage of Nuclearcraft fission that you'll need to get into, because if we have a look at the uses on this, so not that one, on this, so you get californium from this, and the californium is the part that we're needing. You could go the extra stage and use californium to actually make some kind of really nice fuels if you have a look at these as well. But I didn't really see any point in going through all of that just to get kind of the basics back out of it. Might be something I'll look into in the future, but the main thing that I'm using it for is to get all of the kind of different elements from the fission. Sorry. So yeah, a couple of key points that I want to show you is over here. If we jump over to our centrifuge, these are the patterns that I've set up. these are the 5 patterns that I've set up, which will take us all the way from thorium to californium. So if we have a look here, neptunium, these are the ways that I've set it up as well. So what I recommend to do with the patterns is, if we have a look at the actual TBU fuel, it produces 4 outputs. I'm only getting it to craft the neptunium from this, so I'm skipping out the uranium 233 and 235 because that is actually a resource further back, so it's a more basic resource. So what I'm saying is, don't have your system know to make the early resources from later resources. It causes a couple of crafting clog ups, so that's what I kind of recommend on that side. Those neptunium are then turned into the LEN236 fuel, which is then producing americium. The americium, LEA, turning LEA242, turning into curium. LECM, so LE-curium, low energy curium 243, turning into berkelium. And finally we have our berkelium. Yeah, that's the full actual output from this. Our berkelium, LEB248, turning into californium. So that's that side. And if we have a look at the quest book, it does actually lead you through that very nice. It's in the mid game over here, so it wants you to make, this is basically saying that there's a lot of complexity when it comes to nuclearcraft, reactors and fuels. There's a really good YouTube tutorial to set it up. It's kind of recommends you to look into that way. But this is kind of your basic reactor, if you want to say. So this will create a reactor that's good enough to use your basic fuel, which the basic fuel comes into this side here. So it shows you how you want to get making kind of the basic fuel, uranium 238 and 235. Then it takes you into this here, so LEU, which is uranium fission, which to actually get to californium, you don't need to go down the uranium route. Uranium route will lead you to plutonium though, and yeah, I'll show that as well. So those are the 5 patterns that I've got set up for californium. That will take us all the way through californium itself. So if we have a look here, the californium here, if we craft one of those, this is what it's going to use to craft it. So the base resource is 675 thorium, and that will produce 56 tiny clumps of 252 californium. Goes through all of this, so you need a fair bit of the base fuel, or the base resources I guess, but the rest of it is fully craftable through the fission reactor. Takes you all the way through to LEB, all the way up to californium, and that kind of leads on to what we'll be trying to do. I'll just show it. So it's part of the kind of end game quests. We need all of these resources stabilized. Californium is for every large clump of californium you get 144 millibuckets, which creates 8 stabilized californium. So realistically we need like 8 of those. We've probably got all that we need already in here, because we've got little bits here and there. I kind of pulled everything out of the system just because I want to show how it will run through fully. So if we create one of those, let's start the craft, then we'll jump over here. So we have the Blaze Sweatshop T6350, in other words just an IV thermal centrifuge, which I definitely recommend because this takes forever. It takes 160 seconds to get one run through, and we need 750 I think it was. So 3 minutes times 750. I'm sure you appreciate that's a fair amount of time. So you kind of want to either double your production line or you want to actually upgrade your power on there. But for now I'm going to help it a little bit. So we'll grab some thorium out, take whatever we've got in these just to speed it up a little bit. what is it waiting on first? Thorium. I think it's this 230, was it? Yeah, thorium 230. This should complete the craft once everything's checked out. So crafting that, well, I say it should complete the craft, it'll complete part of the craft. Yeah, so we're still needing 468 of the thorium to produce our TBU fuel, but the TBU fuel will have automatically gone into here. You can hear kind of the Geiger counter noises. Radiation isn't implemented on in this pack itself, fortunately. It doesn't produce a lot of power, which is what I'm saying. So TBU fuel in itself has a base power, as you see, of 60 RF per tick. Because we have 48 reactor cells, basically what you do is you times the 60 by 48. That tells you how much power it's going to produce, which is 2880. In terms of the heats, so base heat of 18. We have a look at this one. So base heat of 18, however the net heat generation is minus 34736. So we're working at about 900 heat per tick. Again, it's just times by that, I believe. Yeah, so it basically times your power, your heat gen, by the amount of cells you've got. If you're not using moderators, then it gets a little bit more mathematic, as you want to say. But that will automatically get processed through here. So it's taking it straight through the thermal centrifuge once they are used up, and then that'll be used to kind of craft. Which one are we using? Using some of these ones here. Yeah, we're using this one. So it takes us through, all the way through, and eventually it'll take us to the LEB, which, if I'm honest, out of the actual fuels that we use, there's a couple that produce like 20,000 RF a tick, and there's a few decent ones on there, but I suppose it's nice to have a little bit of a passive heat generation, power generation on the way through, either way. But we will end up with little bits kind of hanging off at the side from the actual thermal centrifuge. That's not a problem. You can kind of use those further down the line. Anyway, back over to our microverse projectors. Because if we have a look at kind of our quest, what we've got the Iridium, we've got the Indium quest done. Late game wise, I've managed to go through Radon, into the Quantum Eyes, Cubic Processing, fourth and final tier 4 circuits, and third tier 5 circuits. So we're getting on there. We've got our microverse projector. The hard parts on this compared to what we already had done was the Signalum Microminer Energen core and the field generator. So these require minimum of EV power. I've got an alloy smelter set up at IV, so no problem there. Bit of Signalum and Redstone. HV requires the Quantum Eye, which we have a chemical bath with Radon. Radon, Eye of Ender, Quantum Eye. Can get it through there, but large microverse projector again. A little bit tricky on that side. Go back to mid game. So have a look at the uses on this guy. So tier 3 microverse projector, turbo diesel generator, two of these guys. So a little bit of argon, which we've got producing through our air thing over here, the distillation towers. They will produce our argon. We've got plenty of that as well. And if we have a look at the actual uses, so it's not this one that I used, I don't think. Which one did I get Radon from? Fluids, electrolyzer, radium salts. Okay, so yeah, it was just the tier 2. I did 2 runs of this, so 24 buckets of rocket fuel, 2 of the tier 2 microverse projectors with miners, not a problem. And we are now running at 250 buckets of radon. So we've got a decent amount to start off. This is kind of our fluid situation as well. So we are backstacked on polyethylene. We have all of this extra as well, which I am tempted to just void off because we can't really do much with it, unfortunately. We're backstacked on polyvinyl chloride, sulfuric acid, nitrogen dioxide. We've got a lot of epichlorogen. We're backstacked on carbon dioxide and avoiding the rest off because I don't see much use in that. Biodiesel, pretty much 2/3 of the way to being full on there as well. And yeah, we're kind of moving forward quite nicely in terms of the fluids, I think. So that's that side. Let's kind of get into a little bit of what we're working on. So let's claim some of the quests. Claim all of these guys. This guy is just kind of telling you to kind of experiment with different reactors. There we go. We'll need to build a fair few reactors to complete this task in a reasonable time. Not a problem on that side as well. So that actually just leaves the 2 quests to complete mid-game. The Dark Solarium Jetplate, which I don't think we're anywhere close to Dark Solarium just yet. No, so Dark Solarium needs 8600 Kelvin to produce. And tritium, which realistically we can get, that's not a problem. The problem is the actual Dark Solarium ingots. If we have a look at kind of coils, oh, that's a lot of Omni coins. Kind of coils we got. So for 8600 we need to get all the way up to Naquadah alloy coils. So we are at the moment here at HSSG. Naquadah itself, you get Naquadah dust from the medium microverse projector with stabilized plutonium. So we're not far off of this actually. So we can make that. We've made that. That's not a problem either. Keep going back through that. Let me just bookmark it. So plutonium we can get. I do need to run a couple of runs of plutonium in itself just because I don't think I've got the full setup done. Signalum, that's the other thing of it I did off camera. So if we come over to this one, I set up a HV fluid extractor, just some HV power. We've got some item filters on the imports, basically blacklisting mana dust, and they're all set up on there. So we've got mana ingots, lumium and signalum now on full autocraft. If we jump down here, get rid of the magnet a second, we're constantly keeping 64 of them in stack because it does take a bit of time to kind of craft them. One thing that I have kind of noticed over the past couple of episodes, and I don't know why it's doing it, we've kind of lost our texture for the black elevator. We now just have a terracotta looking block. Not entirely sure why it's doing it, but yeah. Thought that were a bit of a quirky one. Anyway, yeah, let's kind of keep that going. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, we were claiming quests. So yeah, we've gone through all of these guys. Iridium, not a problem. Claim all of the quests. There we go. So yeah, that was radon. Radon, you get with the radium salts, which you get a fair amount of kind of scheelite and tungstate ore. So we've got a nice amount on that side of the game. How are we doing on our kind of crafting? It does take its time, as you're probably aware, just to kind of go through everything, but it will eventually get there. In terms of Californium though, what have we got? So let's have a look. Californium. Got this here, got all of this here. So yeah, we've got more than enough to get our Californium task done, because we can just go like that and like that. That will produce all of the californium that we need, actually. Let me just check this isn't connected. No, that's fine. There we go. Get that melted down. As you can see, 144 millibuckets per. And we've got plenty kind of left over as well, so working quite nicely in my opinion through that side. Here we go. So that should be enough to get our, still using the LV fluid solidifier, but sure. Probably should, in fact I think I've got one over here, haven't I? Yes. Do you know what, we're not using concrete. Let me kind of swap all of this around just to speed everything up a bit. Oh yeah, I forgot I've got rid of my fluid trash can. Trash. Just put you there for a second. This is the concrete one. There we go. Grab the rest out of there. Go back here. There. It should be a little bit quicker. Beautiful. Is this connected to anything? No. Anyway, so yeah, that's producing our stabilized californium. What does that leave on the end game? So work his way backwards. So berkelium's next. Berkelium. Got a little bit here. Kind of store this in here for now. More berkelium there. Ooh, we are a little bit short actually. Oh no, this should be fine. I think it should work if I melt both these two down. It shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so it just turns into berkelium. That's perfect. So jump over to our extractor. Get rid of that a second. Chuck these two in here. In theory, these should just stack through. Perfect. So this is what I was saying about we will be using kind of the excess to make our the excesses from the Nuclearcraft fission production throughout anyway. So it's like, sure, we can make the different fuels if needs be, but as far as I can tell, we've no need to actually do it. That's the Californium one should done. Beautiful. Let's go back on here. So curium's next. Let's see what we've got curium wise. Oh, beautiful, got plenty. Grab some of this. Hopefully again this is producing 8 per. I think the majority of them were when I looked. So probably should have looked to check, but sure we'll be alright. What's the worst that could happen? Anyway, this one, yeah, moving a lot quicker this way. There we go, curium. That's our berkelium done. Beautiful. That brings us to americium. Americium. A little bit here. Store these guys in there. Perfect, we've got enough. Just produce enough for now. There we go. Americium time. What comes after americium, or I guess before americium? Plutonium and neptunium. Neptunium we can do. Plutonium not quite yet. Ooh, actually curium. Do we only get 4 per? Ah, okay. So yeah, as it looks like the lower you kind of go in the periodic table or the Nuclearcraft crafting, you get less and less. So Got plenty of curium though, so that's not a problem. Which one is it that's not used? Is it this one? I think it's this one. I don't know. Either way, it's not a problem. Get another bit of that. Probably going to need some more americium as well then, if that's the case. How many do we get per americium craft? We get 4, so yeah, we need another 8 americium. Ooh, okay, we are quite short on americium. Got any in here? No. How much can we make? We are 5 shorts. Okay. Americium, make 5 of you. It'll take a bit of time, but we'll be able to do it. Still working his way through on that side. Do you know what? I am going to cancel this one. That should bring that one into play now. Because at the moment we don't really need to be making more Californium. We've got a decent amount of that going, especially considering we've got all the extras here and such. So yeah, I'll leave that off for a second. Let's go back over here, take half of that. The curium is done. What did I do with my other half stack? Did I put it in here? It's there. Okay. Anyway, plutonium. So, if we have a look at plutonium, we've got a nice amount of it as well, so that's not a problem. How much do we get per this? Let's have a look. So, each one is 4, we get 2, so we need half a stack of this. Shouldn't be a problem, I don't think. So yeah, that's enough plutonium there. We'll get that smelted in. So plutonium, as I was saying, so we have a look at LEU fuel, because this is the basic LEU 235 fuel. This is the basic uranium based fuel. So the other line that we've gone through was the thorium based Nuclearcraft fuels. LEU 235 produces that, and then that's directly changed into plutonium. So that's the recipe that we're going to be getting set up for plutonium. So LEU turns into plutonium. I'm tempted to go on the HEU version. So HEU 235 fuel, because we do have a fair amount of 235 uranium from processing, and you actually get a lot more power from this. And if you actually break it down afterwards, you get a little bit more version of plutonium as well. So that's I am tempted to go that way for our kind of plutonium for now. Get this all rolled over here. Take the curium out. Thank you. So yeah, if we have a look at 235, I think it's this that we get a lot of from, like uraninite dust, uranium dust. So uranium and uraninite dust produce a fair amount of 235 tiny piles, as well as like the majority of it being 238. So we had about 1,000, if not more, 235. So yeah, just under 1,000 235. So it's probably better me doing the HEU just to get a little bit more plutonium really quickly. What I will say as well, so 235 clumps automatically turn into the ingot form, which is why if we go over here, I have this set up, because you can kind of switch between the two if needs be. So you can just go like that and bring it all down, just in case anybody was kind of wondering on that side. That's a little bit of a cheating way around it, if you want to say. Rare earths, no. Americium. Isotopes. Okay. We have, what is it, 242. We only needed 8, I think, so we've got enough to get that one done. Store all of that in there. This is all going to get stored into the system. I just took everything out to get everything kind of set up and started initially, if you was wondering why. Americium 242. Go. Half the way through the plutonium. Neptunium. So let's have a look at this guy. So again, 1 creates 2, so we need half a stack of Neptunium, which can be done with any of the isotopes. So that's perfect. How much Neptunium do we have? Should have a fair amount. See what we can create out of this. Okay, so 8. We need a little bit more Neptunium. Fortunately, we've got all of this here. Looks like it was meant to be. That as well. So we can take another one of these out. We need one more. So we've got beautifully, almost like it was meant to be, the perfect amount. There we go. Get the Americium almost in the plutonium wise. And yeah, I mean, looking at the quest book, we've almost done with the majority of our kind of base elements. Radon is not a problem to do. When I say not a problem, is we can do it. It's fairly expensive to do, but it's not a problem to do. I'll have to have a look on that side, but yeah. Get the rest of the Americium done. That should, I think, create 4 per, is it? Yeah, so that's making 4 per, perfect. Run the rest of the Neptunium through. Also, one thing that I did off camera as well was we used a lot of our Omnicoins on creating canola seeds, surprisingly. So because of the amount of kind of fuel that we were producing, our farm wasn't able to keep up. At the moment it's actually not doing too bad. It's about level, surprisingly. I don't know what's changed. But yeah, we weren't producing enough empowered to keep up. So yeah, produce that through. And yeah, that's keeping up nicely. We've got plenty of ethanol, pumping out biodiesel. At the moment, I don't think I've actually got the generator set up. No, so what I wanted to do was to fully backstack our biofuel before we kept using it. Just personal preference, if I'm honest. No other reason. I just felt like it was a good thing to do. Probably not, but that's what I'm doing. There we go. Get the Neptunium in. So we've got all of these guys done. Radon. Might as well do that while we're here, I guess. So radon, we have enough there. Just waiting on that guy to finish processing the Neptunium. Yeah, we are truly getting into mopeds, apparently. Sorry. Yeah, we're truly getting into the end game stages. Uranium as well, I guess, is one that we should be doing. Uranium can be done with any of the isotopes again. So if we have a look and see what we've got, so uranium, probably best to do 233 because we get a lot of that. Wait, is it 233? 238 we get a lot of. Have I got any in here? 238. No, 238 is what we use a lot of. 233 is what we get a lot of excess of. That's right. Okay, so we need half a stack of this. Just to complete the quest. There we go. Okay, uranium. Get that in there. Almost, well, we're halfway done on the Neptunium, and I guess, yeah, when I say this, we are truly getting towards kind of full end game. Draconium ingots are in our sight. Jelly cryothium's not a problem. In terms of hot draconium ingots, we can make cetane boosted diesel, but I don't think we've quite got the coil heat on that yet, have we? So yeah, we're needing the kind of naquadah dust in itself, which naquadah, I think I've already shown it. We get in the microverse projectors with the, oh yeah, it's up there. So I'll use some of our plutonium, if not all of it, that we've just created to straight up use through this guy, because the rest of it isn't a problem at all. EV, that's actually, we need to get LUV power for that. Okay. Thought that was EV power, IV power. LUV compressor, LUV machine holes we've already done. It's just aluminum, I think. So yeah, we've already got a couple of I think we've got 2 LUV machine holes in there. I made 1 or 2, I can't remember which. Either way, we've got a decent amount to kind of run through on that side itself. Almost done on that. So a few things that I'll get done off camera is probably getting some naquadah done, because yeah, that's definitely not going to be too much of a problem. We've got that on autocraft. We've got that. That is tier 4 circuits, tungsten carbide, EV sensors, so titanium, platinum, tier 4 circuits, the supercharged laser array radon and the normal version, so no problems there. EV generators, nether stars, okay, that's fine, we've got those on craft. Tier 4 circuits, N steel wires, absolutely no problem. Fission controllers, hard carbon, diamond graphite, no problem either way. Signal micro miners, we've already got those. The hard part at the moment, I guess, is the iridium heavy plating, so I'll get a little bit of LUV power done, I guess. I don't see us needing too much further, if I'm honest, so get the radon in there, store the rest of it away. And yeah, then we need to grab our uranium out of here. Again, I'm really tempted to just get this thrown in the bin, or I might create some extra sheets and throw it into the ME system. So we've got what, 480,000 buckets still. So we need like another half a storage cell. Anyway, store all these things in there for now. And yeah, if we go back to endgame, pretty much getting all the way through. Fairly pleased with the progression. Iridium and indium, not a problem either with what we were able to process. So don't know if I said actually, so probably should have mentioned it. Iridium is vacuum from iridium dust, which is what we got from the microverse projector tier 4. Yeah, I definitely didn't say it. So petroleum, a couple of Wither Realm datas, quantum flux, and one of these creates 2 stacks of iridium ore and a quarter of a stack of osmium ore. The osmium ore is fairly important because it's one of the gates in some of the IV power stuff that we've got going. If you have a look, so osmium I used it all. Surely I didn't use it all. There's no way did I use it all. Ah, okay. Yeah, still got it over here. That's fine. I used a little bit. That's fine. So yeah, we've got the iridium ore in here. So I've been using kind of the tiny clumps that come off of it on the way to get silver. I think that came from the galena ore, if I'm honest. But yeah, I've got a little bit of osmium to go through, and a nice amount of iridium as well. That'll all get put through as well. So as you can see, when you're actually getting the iridium's kind of centrifuge and thermal centrifuge all the way through, you do get the chance of getting osmium off of the back of it. So that's where all of that kind of came from on that side. For what I've used, because I think, if I remember right, I think the alloy smelter uses osmium, is it? What's it actually called? Because they changed the name. Oh no, it's just alloy smelter. Alloy IV. No, that's tungsten steel. Maybe it was the blaze thing. Tungsten steel, tungsten steel. One of these used it. Might have been the chemical reactor. Maybe chem reactor. Platinum, tungsten steel, compressor. I swear that one of them was gated behind it. Do you know what it might have been? It might have been the electrolyzer. If we go uses on this guy here, yeah. So the electrolyzer is what's gated behind osmium. That's coming into play for something, and I can't remember what. It might have been radon. Is it radon? No, it wasn't radon. It must be something fairly important, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Can't understand why. That's all come through. Let's chuck all of this extra stuff into the AE system. Go. That's fine. There we go. One more should do it. Yeah, this is all of the kind of excess from the production of Californium, which is quite unreal actually when you think about it. To get that much kind of, well, not waste stuff, but additional stuff for what you can use. It's quite nice. Let's jump back over here. Almost done, 3/4 of the way down on the outside. Then we can put our uranium in. What else can we kind of work on in the meantime? So, HSS Steel Type S. What's this then? So, osmium dust. Okay, so that was one of the gates on this thing. The rest of it is osmium and iridium. What is it actually used for then? Let's have a look. Guessing plates are going to be used. Possibly not. Not too sure what that's used for. Need to make 64 of it anyway. So sure, let's do it. HSS S. This here. So we're missing HSSG. Let's make a little bit of this. Probably, I want to say 40. That should be enough, I think. Osmium is fairly important, but we're only going to be using, what, 7 of it? 8? So not a problem. And 16 iridium. I'm happy to be using that, I guess. No issues either way. Probably should get some things on autocraft as well, but yeah, few of the kind of late game stuff we don't need that much of, so it's a kind of want over need more than anything. Anyway, radon down. What are we waiting on? Tungsten steel. Okay. Manulin. I think we've done that, haven't we? I must not have just taken it out of here. Hey. That's that one done. Night slime. What's night slime? So slime and titanium. Okay. In a chemical reactor. So we need 64 ingots of titanium. Shouldn't be a problem either. Perfect. Just knocking a few quests off. Slime. Grab 64 blocks of slime. There we go. So that's going to make our night slime ingots. Got our uranium empowered gears. How far are we off on these guys? So tritium, conflux. Okay, we're a little bit of a distance away from some of these stuff still. Probably, I have a feeling that I'm probably best off going through the blocks first for some of these, although I know that some of them are a little bit of a case you have to go through these, like the coal one, so there's a few little technicalities on that, I guess. How are we doing over here? Almost done. Quarter of the way on that side. But yeah, in terms of this endgame progression, going very well in my opinion. And I'm probably going to call it an episode there. Not too much kind of full progression, but we've got some kind of quests knocked out. Almost done fully on the mid game, which I don't know why this is classed as a mid game quest, because if we have a look at the crystal teen ingots, we can make them now. Osmiridium was kind of the stumbling block, so probably going to knock that one out off camera as well. Definitely don't know why this is classed as mid game. This is all not a problem. It's literally, the problem is the dark solarium ingots. We need 8600 Kelvin, so we're nowhere near that at the moment. And yeah, that will get our night slime done. Throw that in there. I'll quickly run it through. Perfect. Are we anywhere near? No, I'll leave that to run. It'll be done fully for next episode. And yeah, if you are going to stick around, if I'm honest, this could be a real stumbling block. So if you've got any kind of tips and tricks about the kind of large microverse projector, I've been kind of having a look at it and some of the stuff that you get out of it. So things like this, which leads into these, and yeah, it's one of those things where we probably will need to go through the large microverse projector, which is going to be a problem if that's the case, because it's not implemented into the game. If you've got any kind of tips or tricks of a way around this, I definitely appreciate that, that's for sure. So if you are able to leave a comment, let me know. I'll see what I can do kind of to work around it. We're still a fair way off of needing to use them yet, so we've still got some time to kind of work on that. But yeah, I'm going to call it a episode there, get a few bits done off camera. If you are going to stick around for the remainder of the series, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned. Thanks, and goodbye.